Okay, so I am posting this as a correction video. So I'm posting this correction video because I didn't fully put two and two together until talking with my sister that what I had said about the clouds experiment on NASA's website wasn't entirely accurate. I didn't include all of the important details, and it wasn't even intentional. Like, I just didn't put the pieces together. I was focused on the fact that you need a lid for it to work. But technically, you need a cold lid. They tell you to have a lid and then like put ice on it. They used like a metal tray thing with like a border on it and then like put ice in it, I believe is technically how they did it. I still technically stand by like the whole if you need a lid statements. I still stand by those. However, I feel like I need to address the cold part or the ice part. The way my sister was putting it was that the ice is basically representative of space. Of course, if you move the ice, you now have no clouds, right? It actually says in there that you can basically take the ice off of the lid and you would lose your clouds that way. I have several questions with this. You're telling me that I need both the cold and the lid? Is it to have something to put the ice on? Because I kind of feel like this experiment should be able to be done with a tall enough container. Okay, you need a little bit of height and maybe just put a stick on it and hang basically enough cold like ice to then make it work. I feel like there should be some way to do it without a lid. Maybe a lid's just easier. I don't know on that one. I do have questions about the cold in space. I've been looking that up, and basically it's like the reason it's cold in space is because there's nothing to collect the heat. And so like if you go out into space, you just get cold. Because space is cold because there's nothing there to absorb the heat. Okay, so that implies that the Earth is collecting this heat. That would imply that it is doing so through the air, because I know I can feel the sun's heat. I don't even believe globers are going to argue that. So now I have a couple questions. If you're accepting that we are feeling the warmth of the sun, you also have to accept it's probably the air around us, right? That's how the space is technically cold, is the lack of anything, including air. So we're not just feeling heat in a vacuum, so to speak. We are feeling it in the air, right? Wind is technically uneven heat waves. So we're feeling heat through the air. But hot air rises. How is the heat from the sun making it all the way to me, and then, I guess, back up enough to make clouds? Also, too, how can there be the sun supplying me heat and hot air rises? The sun is still providing heat to all of that air, but you get clouds. You don't get it all the way up at space. The heat's still there, but you're getting clouds because of the cold. Like, yes, I recognize technically space itself is cold, but we're still in air. Clouds don't leave the air. They're not physically touching space. We have a lot of layers to our atmosphere. They don't get up that high. I mean, there's plenty of videos of people like at diners and stuff looking out over the clouds. Like the majority of clouds. Could clouds go possibly a little higher? Maybe. But we can inhabit above the clouds and it not kill us. And people will see clouds like that they can look down on. They're able to breathe the air. And with it being sunny, that's how we're getting good film of this. With all the hot air, I see nothing but heat. The only real cold would be, quote, space, but the clouds are not getting up that high. Now, I do want to point this out because I did find this interesting. I'm not sure if that previous explanation did a really good job as to what I'm thinking about the heat. Sometimes I don't explain myself very well. That's another thing that's going to be getting better with the videos. But I've noticed that they want the cold, right? It's supposed to represent space. However, I have been wondering lately, the idea came from a globe earth friend, believe it or not. He is a biblical globe earther, and he basically said that if you look at all 6 days of creation, he said you see differences and separations in like the difference between light and darkness, or the difference between day and night, or the difference between land and sea, and the difference between this and that. Like, part of it includes separating things in, amongst themselves. And so he had proposed the possibility of basically the water vapor above and the water beneath. But I have been curious if it's ice. Flat earthers believe in some form of firmament. Most flat earthers will tell you it's something like glass. I don't personally think it's glass. Could it be? Sure. But I just don't believe that it is. And honestly, most flat earthers, biblical flat earthers, are going to point at a scripture. I'll have to add it here because I don't fully remember it. But it's about the sky looking like molten glass. Even now, as a flat earther, I kind of take that to be the sunset, sunrise analogy. It being like molten glass is not going to be our firmament. If we have a glass firmament, it's not going to be molten glass. I don't buy that. I don't think that makes sense. Just try and use that as we have a glass firmament. I have been curious if we have an ice firmament for a number of reasons. And now seeing that if you go on NASA's website and that they tell you to have ice above you, I am curious. I would love to try the clouds experiment different ways. That'll be much later videos because I got to get the supplies and, all that. But stay tuned. I didn't want to post this correction video because I didn't want people to think that I was intentionally doing anything. Quite frankly, I'm trying to chunk videos out daily, which I've never really done before. And I remembered seeing that and talking with my globe earth friend about the clouds, and I was like, you know what, let me just post a video. And I didn't put 2 and 2 together. Thankfully, my sister caught it. I appreciate her catching it. Thank you for watching this video. I know it's kind of long, but thank you for sticking with it, and stay tuned for the next